Yeah, mateys. You know, today let's talk a little bit about upwind sailing. Now, I've been sailing, I guess it's been about 5 years now, maybe 6, and I've never had a working wind instrument or wind gauge. Haven't even had a wind vane. It's so sailing upwind has been really tricky. You know, you only need to be off a few degrees and things get messed up. Also, not that it's that big a deal, but having the wind vane helps with undocking, docking, raising the sails. You know, a lot of times I think I'm going into the wind pretty well, get the autopilot on, go to raise the sail, it's a mess. Or to lower the sail, the same thing. So earlier this year, I put a wind vane on called Wind Track by Davis Instruments. Now, they're probably the 800-pound gorilla in that field. And I look around the marina here, and even the boats that have wind instruments and wind gauges have got a Wind Track on. And there's a lot of boats like myself that just have the Wind Track. So that to me anyway, that tells me that's an important instrument to have. Well, now let's talk about sailing into the wind. I think we all know you can't sail dead into the wind. You're going to be in irons. You got to be off about 30 degrees one way or the other. And I think the concept of lift, the fact that the sail becomes a foil or a wing, and the pressure on the curve side is less than the pressure on the other side or the flat side. Thus, you get what we call in the sailing the lift, or even in an airplane, you get lift. So the thing is to get the sail trimmed where it is that wing. Now there's several parts of this. Of course, there's the sail, and then there's the keel and the rudder, which have kind of the opposite lift side to it, so that keeps the boat from going sideways. It's kind of like a watermelon seed. You know, they'll take a watermelon seed in your fingers. Well, this pressure and this pressure, you push on them evenly and it shoots the seed out straight. Same thing with the sailboat. You have this amount of pressure and this pressure, now it's going straight. Now, I'm not going to get too technical here because I can't. I'm not a technician. I don't understand all of the geometry and the other things that go along with it. But I do know that with the right trim and the right angle, you can sail pretty close to the wind. Now, another thing that I've been reading about is, you know, if you're heeled over too far, what's going to happen is the wind is going to go up over the sail instead of around the sail. So you're losing that lift side of that's really kind of, it's almost pulling the boat instead of pushing the boat. And from what I've read, you can get more speed with the lift than you can by the pushing. So now what we need to do is Sherry and I are going to go out and we're going to do a little bit of practice and see how close to the wind we can get and how that works. And then also, since I put the wind instrument up, I think I have it correct, but we're going to see how far those fins and kind of like, I guess kind of like calibrate it so that I know that when that red fin, when the red fins are next to each other, is that good? Is it bad? Does it need to be a little bit to the right side or left side or the inside or the outside? So it's going to take a little bit of practice to get that down. Come along with us, see how this goes. I thought it might be a good idea to check the actual shape of my sail, my main, without any wind to see if I have the boom bang too tight or too loose. And if I have it the clue all the way back, it looks pretty good. Looks like I could go up a little bit more. Not sure why it won't go up further. I'm going to check that right now. I think overall I'm happy with the shape of the main. Well, we did finally get out sailing. Wasn't a lot of wind, but we sailed from Rock Hall to Fells Point here in Baltimore Harbor. And I wanted to work on the upwind sailing. Unfortunately, we just didn't have a lot of wind. Here you can see my track of where I was trying to find some wind. Well, I eventually found a little bit of wind, and looking up at the sail track, I was able, or the wind track, I was able to get close haul without being dead into the wind and not being too far off of it. The sails did fill with a little bit of wind, and we were able to go about 2 knots only for a little bit of time. So the upwind, even though there wasn't a lot of wind, by being close hauled, we did get that lift and were able to move for a little bit. But you can see from the wind track bouncing back and forth, there just really wasn't a lot of wind to work with. One thing that I thought was very helpful is getting the boat into the wind for raising and lowering the sail. Now, raising the sail, there wasn't a lot of wind, so it wouldn't have been that difficult. But in that light wind, it's really difficult to tell if you're into that wind till you get the sail part way up. Here, I knew I was into the wind, it went up easy. Now, when we got into Baltimore Harbor, it was about 8 to 10 knot winds, so lowering the sail and having the boat dead into the wind was really, really easy. I mean, I just loosened the halyard and the sail just dropped right down. I had no problem at all. And in the past, when I'm trying to guess where the wind is and what the wind is doing, I always wind up having a problem with that. But hopefully next time when we get out, we'll be able to do a little bit more sailing and fine-tune this sailing into the wind and making some good headway. Well, stay tuned, and until next time, guys, happy and safe boating to you, your family, and friends.